Whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Charvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Charvette Mitchell.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but heard all across the world wide web. OMG. Listen, we are so excited to have you joining us here for another phenomenal show, and I have two dynamic speakers, guests that are going to be joining us, hanging out with us today. So listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to jump on Twitter. Tell them what you're listening to. Make sure you tag me. Yes, this is just Charvette on Twitter. Really, really easy. Thank you so much for Literary Diva. Thanks so much for retweeting us already. And then jump on over to Facebook and say, hey, y'all, come listen out. And, of course, that's facebook.com/Charvette. Big shout-out to all those that are listening in from all of our platforms, from our main website, charvette.com, those that are listening in from our mobile app. Hey, thank you, guys. And certainly all of our broadcast stations. We want to say hello and thank you. All right, so you all know the goal of my show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And today's show, I'm telling you, is going to do just that. And so my first guest, she's hanging out in the virtual green room. I'm going to be bringing her up to the mic shortly. I know she's enjoying some virtual snacks while she's hanging out there. Listen, we're going to be talking to Chiquita Lockley. Yes, Lady Q is joining us. She's a writer. She's a producer. She's a published author. She has a brand new book out called Creative Worship. And listen, it has 86 tips for establishing a dynamic worship, media, and production team. You're going to hear all about it and a little bit of her background, and we're going to give you all some tips today. And then in our second segment, coming up a little bit later on in this show, back by popular demand, a friend of the show, DamarQio Williams, is joining us. You know, we call him DKW, and we're going to be chatting with him. Him and his wife had a beautiful baby boy, March. They had a beautiful baby boy in March of this year. They found him unresponsive due to sudden infant death syndrome. And he's going to be here to share with us, to talk to us about baby Judah. They also call him baby praise. But listen, DamarQio wants to emphasize that even though they experienced this loss, they didn't lose their praise. And so they are here. Hashtag send Judah first. You see that on their Twitter and on their Facebook. So we're delighted and honored to talk with them to honor the legacy of baby Judah and to raise some awareness about sudden infant death syndrome. So that's coming up later. So I am ready to jump right on in again to our first segment. I saw a flyer that ran across my Instagram, and it snatched my attention about creative worship and tips for media and production. And I said, I have to have this young lady on the show. So I'm going to the mics right now to bring up our guest to talk about this brand spanking new book, Creative Worship. Lady Q, welcome to the show.
Hi, Charvette. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we are glad to have you. Thank you for joining us. All right, so let's jump right on in. I'd love for you to tell our listeners about your background in faith-based television and media and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, like probably most of your listeners, I was raised in the church. I've probably held every office in the church, from janitor to Sunday school teacher. I did all of that. And then I went on to Spelman, where I received a degree in English. And then to Emory University, I got a master's in film studies. So in trying to figure out how to merge the two, my training in faith-based production work was kind of birthed. Just out of combining the two of my passions. So in 2003, I was tapped to produce this show called Gospel Dream. It's executive produced by Elvin Ross. Most people know him as the composer for Tyler Perry, all of his productions and TV shows, plays, that sort of thing. So Elvin actually had his own show called Gospel Dream. The first 2 seasons we were on BT and then on Gospel Music Channel, and I was blessed to be able to produce that. So that was the beginning of me actually being hands-on, combining my education with just the work that I do at church anyway. And it's kind of just gone on from there. I ended up producing William Murphy's album All Day, not the audio side of it, but the live event production part of it. So working on that, and it kind of just exploded from there. And I guess that's pretty much it in terms of the television background.
Oh my goodness! And I know you're being modest, and it's hard for people to share about themselves. But I saw somebody mention something about Atlanta Housewives. Anything about that? Anything?
Yes, but that's not faith-based, and I forgot all about it.
Well, we're gonna throw that in anyway.
So again, maybe a year ago, I was tapped by Candy Burrs to write her musical. She wrote the music, and I wrote the script for it. It was called A Mother's Love. Candy Burrs Presents A Mother's Love, and it ran in Atlanta for 5 shows, sold out 4 of the 5 shows, and it was so much fun to do. So, yeah, I write as well.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, and so let's talk about what was the catalyst, what was the spark that said, God, I have got to help churches with their worship experiences in this kind of production arena. Any single event or just what made you move in this direction?
Well, a series of events, not just a single one, but it was more or less the same event over and over. So I was one of the worship leaders at a mega church in Atlanta where I was able to work under Kevin Bond and Darwin Hobbs and William Murphy and just kind of learn the musical and spiritual components for being a worship leader. And every Sunday we had early morning prayer, like 5:30 prayer, which the audio would just, it's 5:30, so you're going to get the volunteers who could show up at 5:30. So it was
right.
Agitate me to no end that we could never get the monitor mix right. The lyrics would never quite be on time, or if I'm teaching a song as the worship leader on the microphone, I'm teaching a song, the person who is running the MacBook is on a different page of lyrics, maybe not even the right song. So it would aggravate me to the point that I decided to do something about it. I really believe in life, not just in church, but in life in general, that thing that bothers you the most, that's probably your passion point, and that's probably what you need to, spend some attention working on. So that's what I did. And I had the background, the educational background. It just never dawned on me really to put it to use in church. But once I started asking questions like, why is this mixed like this all the time on audio? Or why can't we never get a lyric up? It was like a trail, so you just follow the clues. Well, maybe nobody sent them the lyrics in time. Maybe they're trying to listen to you and figure out what to type. So if you're not enunciating, they don't even know what you're saying. Maybe that's why the lyrics are wrong. So there was just this ton of things that, you could prevent those if you spend as much time in rehearsal, as much time as you spend on rehearsal. If you put a fraction of that time into what's happening with your AV, things will run so much more smoothly. But who knows to ask those questions? In churches across the country, we have volunteers and servant leaders with generous hearts. They're giving their time. They just don't know to ask the questions. My goal is to say, this is what you need to ask. These are the problems. Here's, a solution or two, but you first need to know to ask these questions, and this is who you need to be asking. So that was kind of what pushed me in the direction.
Ooh, and I know there's some pastors listening right now that are like, where can I write her a check? What is her PayPal account? How do I order all these books? Because it's so needed, and I feel for audiovisual. I feel for, because it's one of those jobs. If it's going fine, there's no recognition, there's no pat on the back. But if something is off, it's an open. Everybody knows. So and you are working with volunteer staff.
Yes, that's where I'm headed. So this volunteer, they're usually volunteers, the production team, video team, these guys and ladies, they're usually volunteers. They are at the church before the singers, before the pastor, like they're setting up. So clearly they're the first ones there. And then when someone is on the microphone, like publicly rebuking them for reasons that sometimes it's their fault, maybe they're not paying attention and they miss a cue, but sometimes you just didn't send the lyrics to them. Or sometimes you just need to move your hands from the bottom of the microphone because the signal can't go through your skin. Like, you just need to know, bring your hand up a little bit. It's not the audio engineer's fault. So that's what I tried to address in the book, just to help people with simple things that, you know, can go wrong every single week. Like, maybe the microphone went out because somebody didn't replace batteries. But yelling at a person is probably not going to help them know to replace the batteries. They're volunteers, so you have to teach them these things.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Listen, if you just tuned in, hey, you're checking out the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, and we're chatting up here with Lady Q, a brand new book out, Creative Worship, 86 Tips for Establishing a Dynamic Worship Media and Production Team. And listen, I know some of you, while you're listening, you're like, okay, how do I get it? So while they're listening, how do they get a hold of Creative Worship?
From my website, it's ChiquitaLockley.com, which is kind of hard to spell, so I'll help you out. It's ChiquitaLockley.com, or you can Google Creative Worship and just try to spell my name. Good luck with that.
And listen, we made it real easy for you listeners. So if you're on Charvette.com, just check out my blog post. We put a link right in the blog post to take you directly to her website. All right, so let's define a few things. I want to make sure, because they're I'm sure all different kinds of people that are listening. What do we mean when we say worship team, media team, production team? Some churches may be like, it's all the same, and then some are like, no, they're different. So help educate us on the differences you mean.
Well, you know, every church, like you said, every church has their own way of doing things and way of defining or deciding what a team looks like. But for me, the creative worship team is every individual who is directly responsible for a task that helps bring the worship forth on Sunday morning or on a midweek service. So I have creative worship teams. Some churches call it the worship and arts department. That's the general name. But under that umbrella, we have the music team, we have media and video, we have the production guys and ladies, and then we have dance and drama. So those are how I categorize the teams. And then teams that work closely with this under the umbrella, not under the umbrella, work closely with the titles under the umbrella. That would be the streaming for web, which technically isn't a part of the creative worship team, but they need the signal from video to stream, so they work together. And then marketing, because usually the flyers that marketing team designs that go out on social media or cover the DVD, like the printing for the DVD, they will use that same graphic in the service as a sermon title, like to put the title on top of the graphic. So marketing is not a part of the creative worship team, but they still work together in terms of making sure that everything it looks nice, that the brand is supported.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about what are the must-haves for all churches. It doesn't matter if you have 5 members, you have 50,000 members. What are your top must-haves for all churches?
I really only have 2 must-haves. The first is volunteers who are willing and able. Sometimes you have people who are willing, but they just aren't able. So my rule of thumb is if I train a person for a month to work the computer or train them for a month on camera and they still can't really pick it up, this might not be the ministry area for them. Maybe they could be in the choir or maybe they could be an usher. So you have to have willing and able vessels, not just willing. So if you have that, that's the first step, because I personally believe that the human resource factor is the biggest deal. Like, I put most of my investment in people because that's who carry the ministry. So first, you need your willing and able vessels. And then a good PA system. Even if you're in a smaller church, you can, order a DJ mix pack, which is going to be some lights that flash, and at least a couple of speakers and a microphone. You can be in a storefront with 5 members on the front row, and this DJ pack would still, be helpful because you need PA. And, of course, if you have more people, you still need audio, but it needs to be equipped to the size of your facility so that the person on the back row can hear, and then the people in the choir stand can also hear. So you need, monitor placement. But those would be the two. If you have almost $0, that's where you should start.
That's where you should start. Okay, that's good. Now, what are PA systems running? If someone is saying like a top of the line or a mid range, what are even the prices running?
Well, if you're in a mega church, you can go into hundreds of thousands on your PA system. If you are in a small church or you're in your garage and you're just getting a DJ packet, $250, and you could probably go on eBay and find it for even less than that.
All right, so a widely varying range there, listeners. Hope your churches find themselves somewhere in the middle. Okay, so let's talk. I want to offer a few other tips, and I'm just going to call out like different things, and we're going to offer some tips. So and you touched on it a little bit, but for say smaller churches, or I'm going to even say satellite ministries, people that are planning churches, they might have a facility one place, but they're planning either in another area of the city or another place. What are your two top tips for that category?
The first part is investing in people, which I mentioned. The second part, I'm a firm believer that you should bloom where you're planted. So if you are a church start, a new church plant, or just a smaller ministry that maybe is a year or two into it, you shouldn't go into debt trying to get a $100,000 PA system. That's just not wisdom. So, yeah, it looks great at the neighbor's church, and, yes, it looks great when Joel Osteen is on television with flashing lights. But if that's not where you are, that's just not where you are. So you have to work with what you have and, and be okay with it and then grow. As you grow in terms of numbers and as you grow in terms of your budget, then, of course, allocate funds for your creative worship team.
All right. Good. The next area, what about the congregation? They may be well established in the community, hundreds of years of history, but they have a large senior population. So the population that might not gravitate as much to technology, what are two recommendations do you have for that population?
Okay. First, I would say include them on your creative team. In my opinion, a creative team is so necessary. So, yes, you can have the person who is like the creative director, but the team is who helps put everything together because two heads are always better than one. So, for me, I did almost a 5-year stint at it was a church plant here in Atlanta, which now has, I think, like 1,500, 1,600 members. But one of the things that was most important for me was having the 60-year-old, the 70-year-old, the 17-year-old, the 20-year-old, people from different age demographics so that every opinion would count. And one of the things that came from that, which goes to my second point, so first include them in the creative process so that you can get, different ideas from what they would like from different age groups. But then secondly, to be intentional about crafting services with them in mind. So not every Sunday is going to be a throwback Sunday, but quarterly maybe you can do something. So from my meetings with this creative team, which, spanned different age groups, one of the things that we came up with was during June, which was Music Month, to have a big band Sunday. So Big Band Sunday, we literally set up bandstands, brought in jazz players, and some of the songs were hymns, but they were like, it sounded more like a Dizzy Gillespie, Amazing Grace, than a Kurt Franklin song. And that was what we did for that particular age group, although the next 3 Sundays we were a little, we geared it towards the general attendee and not just the particular age group. But, I would have never probably even thought of it had we not been in a session with someone who says, I don't want to have a hip-hop Sunday. I'll come, but then what? So that makes you pause to say, okay, So we can do Hip Hop Sunday, but we're missing like 30% of our congregation. So how do we speak to them and keep it engaging for them? Because they don't want to see bells and whistles every single Sunday. So what can we do to keep it as engaging for them as we keep it for the college kid or the 30-year-old working in corporate America?
Amen. And they probably the ones paying the good tithes and giving the consistent offering. Hallelujah. So we want to make sure we take care of everybody. All right. Yes. And what are 2 tips you would have for mega churches, big churches, big complexes?
Okay, so 2 tips for mega churches. The first I would say is less is more. Just because you have $1 million lighting system does not mean that you should turn on every light all the time, every single Sunday. Sometimes less is more. So to just take a step back and evaluate, why am I using what I'm using? We're grateful that we have this equipment. Why am I using all of it today? Is there a reason? Maybe this is a Sunday where we're just kind of focusing on the cross. So maybe we just need an image of the cross up with a couple of white lights, floodlights. Maybe we don't need every color in the spectrum flashing on the stage all the time. So just, be more mindful of how you use what you have, because just because you have it doesn't mean you necessarily need to use it all the time. The second tip that I would have for mega churches or a large congregation is to leave room for the Holy Spirit. I've been at mega churches for years, let's just a minimum of a decade. And what I know is that in pursuing excellence, we try to stay on track with the calendar, stay on track with the show run. If it's something at 10 o'clock, that doesn't run over to 10:01. But did we leave room for the Holy Spirit? Did we leave some room that if the worship leader who is on the microphone or if the pastor is up and is going in a different direction, are we mindful enough of it to pause our program so that we can let God move, which was the whole point of showing up in the first place? And sometimes we get carried away with the perfection that we all strive for, so carried away that we miss moments.
Oh, we miss moments. I think that's so accurate, in particular in this area of, production and media, that, there are schedules. People are looking at, okay, we're supposed to be on the next screen, or this light's supposed to be going up now. But, allowing God to have his way in his service. Anyway, that's good. That's good. All right, tell listeners how they can connect with you online and also pick up a copy of Creative Worship.
Okay, awesome. You can find me most often on Instagram, and it's at Quita Writes, which is QUITAWRITES, at Quita Writes. I have a Twitter account, and I'm such a loser on that Twitter account. But it's also Quita Writes. I may have tweeted twice. But Instagram is my vehicle of choice to communicate with people and let them see what projects that I'm working on. This past weekend we finished William Murphy's new album recording, so they could see pictures of that and just what it looks like and fun things that we're working on. So that's the best place, Instagram. For the book, again, that's on my website, which is ChiquitaLockley.com. But if you're on my Instagram, it's at the top. You could just click my website from the top of my Instagram.
There you go, link in the bio. Now, I've got to mention that you also definitely did work with Tasha Cobb's last live recording.
Yeah, I did the event production for that too. That was called One Place. So, finding the venue, working with the church's team to make sure that the AV was on par, designing what the lighting show would look like, what the visuals would look like, tons of fun. And we're getting ready to do Bishop Morton's July the 13th in New Orleans. So everybody can keep an eye out for that because that's going to be awesome too. He's retired from the music ministry, yeah. So this is his final album as Bishop Morton, the singer. So we are gearing up for that and so excited about it. Yep.
Oh my goodness! How much time does this? Are you when you're in the mood in the grind for this? Is this like 24-hour days?
The week of is 24 hours, but you can't start on it the week of. So the set has been ordered, the lights are in, all of the details of each recording we may be 4 to 6 months out when we start the conversations for the recording. But that the last 2 weeks, that's crunch time, and then the week of, you may not sleep.
You may not sleep. All right, so there you go.
You may not
For
sleep.
those that want to do this, or you are doing this, this is confirmation for you. And I heard you mention lighting a lot. Is that something that I feel like maybe churches haven't used that a lot? Are you seeing more and more of lighting treatments and all that?
Yeah, it seems like we're trending towards more AV equipment outside of just the audio. So we're having more sets. We're using more coroplast, which is the white or the clear plastic, and you just put a up lighting under it, and it turns color, so you can make columns. That's what the coroplast is. But we're using more design features on the stage, which all support what's happening with the music on the stage, or in support of what the message is. Like if your pastor has a particular theme he wants to talk about, jumping out of the boat and having faith, you may bring in a raft and sit it on the stage, and then you would need a lighting design to go with that, or whatever your visual backdrops are, which could be motion graphics, custom, or there are plenty of companies where you could just buy stock, and the stock is really, really good. Like Triple Y Media is awesome. So that's one of my go-to sources for motion graphics. So, we're definitely, churches are definitely trending in that direction.
Do you coach those that are, up and coming or are in the creative director space in their local churches? Do you do virtual coaching or anything of that nature? I know you have a wealth of knowledge. We want you to get the book, but wondering, do you do any of that as well?
I haven't done virtual coaching. I've gone into churches to help their teams. I'll evaluate where they are. Well, first I find out where the pastor wants them to be. And then with working with the team and the creative director, find out where they are, like personnel. Where are you in terms of people? Where are you in terms of your skill set? Where are you in terms of equipment that you need? And then kind of help them map out what is realistic. Because a lot of times, I saw this flyer on Instagram, one of the memes. It had this lion on the left side and a kitten on the right. And it said, churches ask for this, which was the picture of the lion, this big thing. But their budget is for this, which is a kitten. So that visual stuck with me because that really is what happens. So when I go into churches, I try to help them be realistic. Yes, the vision might be a lion. If your budget today is a kitten, how can we work with that to make sure that you're still walking away happy, the pastor is still walking away, content with what the plan is going to be. So I do go into churches, but part of why I wrote the book is because I can't go to every church. Some churches are small and their budget doesn't even can't accommodate me coming to them. So it's in the book, and they can just get it. It's very simple. It's tips. So they can get it in and upgrade their areas.
There you go. Creative Worship, 86 tips for establishing a dynamic worship, media, and production team. Get it. Do a book club. Sit down, have discussion around it to help support your ministries. I'm telling you what, listeners, you need to put your hands together for Chiquita Lockley. Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. And the last question we have, the goal of the show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And we want to know what continues to motivate you.
So my biggest motivation is my grandmother. She passed a few years ago, but this woman could do everything. She could cook. She could sew clothes. After she made the pattern to make the clothes, she was the church mother. She was a therapist to anybody in the back room who would, stop by in our local community. If you stop by, she's your therapist. She was a poet. She could write anything, and she could sing. And all of myself, my cousins, we each do something that Grandma did. And she did all this stuff with limited resources, like almost nothing. So to look at where my life is today and just being able to build off of what she and my grandfather and all the aunts, the moms, we have a pretty close-knit family, just to build off of what, the foundation they laid for us, that motivates me to do more, because to whom much is given, much is required, and we have been given so much, so we have to do so much.
We've got to do so much more. Thank you. Well said. Thanks for stopping by the show.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, listeners, we're going to take a very quick commercial break, and then we're going to be back with our second segment. Don't move. Don't you go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Charvette will be back after this.
Spiritual Food for Thought, 31 Inspirational Quotes to Jumpstart Your Day by LaTanya Boyd, consists of inspirational messages that offer daily words of empowerment, promote spiritual growth and development in the Lord Jesus Christ for your day-to-day living. Spiritual Food for Thought, 31 Inspirational Quotes to Jumpstart Your Day. Available now on Kindle, ebook, and paperback. Log on to www.latboyd.com.
Does your church or ministry have a website? Are you a local artist or author that has an established web presence? If you answered no to any of these questions, you're letting countless opportunities pass you by. Hi, I'm Charvette Mitchell. Mitchell Productions was created with your needs in mind. We will provide you with stylish and economical online marketing solutions. From email marketing to your own website, Mitchell Productions caters to ministries, nonprofits, small businesses, and special events. Check out our portfolio at mitchell-productions.com. In today's world, a website is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And Mitchell Productions can create your website in a stylish manner at a very economical price. Don't let business, customers, or new congregation members pass you by. Visit Mitchell Productions today at www.mitchell-productions.com. Let us showcase your organization to the world.
She's here to motivate, excite, and influence you. She's Charvette Mitchell. It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show with in-depth interviews from today's leading authors, gospel artists, stars that you want to know about. And now, Charvette Mitchell.
All right, welcome back again to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but certainly heard all across the World Wide Web. We appreciate all of those that are listening on Twitter and from Instagram and from Facebook, from Charvette.com, from our mobile app, and certainly all of our broadcast stations. We say hello. And listen, we're moving right on into our second segment right now. I'm excited and honored to have back with me. He's been on the show before. DamarQio is joining us. Williams, and he is here. You know what, DKM, we call him that, DKM Enterprises, but he's here to share with us about his firstborn son, Judah Andrew Williams, affectionately called Baby Judah. Baby praise, and I just want you to hear his heart and let him share with us today on the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. So he's been hanging out in the virtual green room, so I'm going up to the mic and to bring DKW back on the show. Hey there, welcome to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show.
Thank you, Charvette. I want to appreciate you for having me on again. It's been a few years since I've been on. I almost forgot, but I want to thank you for having me back on, especially to be able to talk about my son and just his life and his legacy and what I want the world to know about my son, Judah.
Absolutely. It is certainly our honor to chat, and I definitely want to recognize your wife. So want to give her a big shout out on air.
Amen. Yeah, she should be getting home relatively soon. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, how long have you all been married?
We actually got married December 11th, 2013, almost a year before we had our son, Judah Andrew Williams. So we're going on our second year anniversary this December.
Wow. And so still in the newlywed phase, and then you find out you're having a child, and so what was the initial, how did you think, what were your thoughts about going into fatherhood at that point?
Yeah, I actually shared a post on Instagram shortly after I found out that she was pregnant, and at first I wasn't excited. I'll have to be honest and transparent. I was nervous as well as a little frustrated because I wasn't sure how to be a father. One reason being that I never really had my father in my life. So I was nervous. I was a little upset. I was like, Lord, I'm not ready to be a father. I've never had that father figure really in my life. So it took some time to really accept that she was, pregnant with my first child. And once God showed me that, that He was a father to me, and He placed people in my life to show me what a real father would be, I gladly accepted the responsibility, as well as the the initial response from God was, I've already equipped you with everything that you need to be a father. So I accepted that, and I began to get so excited that I started sharing it with the entire world about my son and his arrival on December 29th.
Okay, thank you. Great. Thank you for sharing that transparent moment. And so then on March 3rd, something that I'm sure was not anywhere in your mind that you would expect, you or your wife expect, and so you found Judah Andrew Williams unresponsive because of sudden infant death syndrome. And so first, let me just pause to say, thank you for coming on to talk about it, and you certainly could have just went under a rock and said, I'm just going to deal with this my own way, but you're on a mission to really share about his life and legacy, and to share that you didn't lose your praise. So talk about how he got the name Baby Judah, Baby Praise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually something that my wife and I definitely fasted and prayed on, what we wanted to name our son, and a lot of people suggested that I should name him, be my namesake because he was my firstborn, and name him after me. And after much praying and fasting, we found that Judah, which had a very significance in the Old Testament, and a lot that I could go into, but literally his name meaning praise, being the fourth son of Leah and Jacob. Judah basically represented the time when Leah decided that she was not going to be waiting on Jacob to send her praise and give her praise, but that she was going to have to, despite what Jacob did to her, was going to have to still give God praise. And so when my wife and I decided to name, him Judah, it was like an automatic connection that we both had received from God. So it was that we were in our separate praying and fasting, but we came together and decided to name him Judah, which ultimately meant praise. And when we reached out to several media outlets to ask them to, spotlight our story, a lot of people wanted to know what tragedy happened, what did we learn from it, and after I would tell them what we learned from it, they never wrote back and never responded inviting us on, because I believe that it was spiritual and a deep revelation that they really couldn't understand, and they wanted us to have some sad story, but the truth of the matter is it was nothing sad about what happened. We were literally thankful that God allowed us to, be parents to Judah and to raise him up for those 2 months, and to really be able to see him every day grow and fulfill his purpose, because that's what he did. Baby Judah, baby praise, he literally every day represented contentment. When he woke up, he was content. Every day he wanted to see the new day. He didn't want to stay asleep. And so every day, every morning I would spend with him, and we would literally read the Word of God together. I would sing to him. So many different things and great memories I have, but the ultimate lesson that he taught me was to always send praises first, because in the biblical, Judah always went first to battle. The tribe of Judah always went first. And so no matter what war or battle they were in, they always sent Judah first. They always sent praise first. And that's the lesson that I believe Judah was teaching myself, my wife, and everyone that he was surrounded by, to always send praises first. Always be content in whatsoever state you're in, because the truth of the matter is we can't change our situation, but we can always change our attitude towards the situation. And that is what praise represents.
My God. And certainly having experienced what you've experienced and still be able to talk like you're talking, and we can hear the faith in your voice coming through you, we certainly know that God's hand is on your life and with you and your wife, and just gave you grace through all of this. I saw you post on Facebook how baby Judah, impacted lives, impacted people. Anything you want to share about how he maybe impacted other people too?
Definitely. There was a young lady who went to school with my wife, and all through school she was an atheist. She didn't believe in God. She actually shunned God and said that there was no God. She hated God, and she went on a mission, through her social media journey, and and made sure that she let the world know that she hated God and there was no existence of God to her. However, a few days after the passing of my son, seeing the strength and the faith of my wife, she privately reached out to my wife and said, that through Judah's life, though she never met him, though she was never, never able to hold him or see him, he impacted her life in so much that she now believes in God, that she knows that there is a God because of my son. He never talked. He never said, anything about God, but just the way he lived and just his name and his life represented who God was to others. And it really changed the way we looked at our situation, because at points in losing Judah, we could have, fallen into deep depression. We could have strayed away from God. We could have turned God and hated God. But in spite of all that, it actually grew us closer to God, as well as it was a witness to other people that there is a God, that, there is a God to be praised, even in loss. And so that's why, the title of, what I believe this show is, the loss of our baby, but not the loss of our praise, because we never lost our praise, and we truly never lost Judah, because Judah was a lesson in a life teaching lesson. Every day he continues to teach us to always send praises first.
My God, always send praises first, no matter what you are experiencing. What a key theme I definitely hear you say is don't lose your praise. Are you finding maybe other couples or other people that have experienced loss, any kind of loss, reaching out to you all, asking for, how are you making it? Can you help me? Are y'all getting any of that?
Definitely, all the time we're getting that. My inbox is I'm still actually going through my inboxes of messages of people that I'm getting that weren't friends, that kind of inbox me during everything, everything happened. And so they're saying, I lost my child, actually a neighbor of ours that lives, down from us. She actually was saying she lost a child over 40 years ago, but she still doesn't see how, we're able to continue to live, because she says she's fallen into deep depression, and she really just doesn't know what else to do in life, and she just wants to give up on life. But every day she sees us and how we interact with each other and how we continue to live and just continue to, to bless God and send praises first. And she's just like, wow, I wish I had that strength when I lost my son. But now seeing that, she's able to move on. And so many couples come to us and say, if I had the strength that you had, I think, I would be in a better place. But we always just let them know that it's all God. No glory to ourselves. It's God that keeps us. And so we share with people. We're actually a part of the Compassionate Friends, which I would definitely share with any couple or anyone who's lost a child, to reach out to them. They have so many local chapters. And one of our representatives, Mike, here in our local area, he's been with them for a long time. He lost his son. And they just have so many support groups and so many places where you can get the assistance that you need, because grief is real. It's a real process that we're still going through. Aside from church and our faith, we still sought professional, help. And so I would tell anybody that's through it, with your trust in God, you also have to use some type of common sense and get around those who have either gone through this and are still dealing with this, because it's a long process. It's not something that changes overnight. We definitely are strong in our faith, but there are still times when, actually these last few days for me have been very, very dark. I've kind of shunned myself away from people these last few days, but even in the midst of that, every morning I can still get up and send praises first. But it's a journey, it's a process. And so I just would share with anyone that's listening or anyone who's wrote me and I haven't been able to write them back, that it's all glory to God, but still get some support out there, because there's always people that, that have gone through this and willing to help.
Absolutely, and grief is a cycle. And people go through and move through the cycle differently, and at different intervals and at different time spans. So everyone just be gracious, with those that have experienced loss or that are experiencing loss. I'm so glad you said that we hear faith coming through everything you're saying. I'm so glad you mentioned that you did also, in addition to, seek additional support, and so that support system has been very powerful for you. So I'm glad that you stated that. Have you before having a baby, did you hear about or know anything about sudden infant death syndrome?
We had heard different, people, talk about it and, warn us of it, but it was never to the point where we researched or thought as much as we have since, the passing of Judah. And even, his doctor, she was so, devastated when she heard about the loss, because the actual morning that I went into our bedroom and found him unresponsive, that morning I was waking him up to go to his 2-month checkup physical and to get his actual shots. He never got shots, and that was one thing that I also took, into play, that God was showing me that I didn't even need him to have shots because he wasn't going to be there that long to even need them.
Wow.
So he never got a shot. He was healthy. There was nothing wrong with him. And so I would tell anybody that, have dealt with the sudden infant, death syndrome, it's something that you will never see coming. Sometimes, they have different things that they say could have led to it, but it's really something that I know beyond the sudden infant death. It was God. It was that Judah had fulfilled his purpose. And I oftentimes say that, if we still have a pulse, that means we still have purpose. And I know that morning, 3rd, 2015, that Judah had fulfilled his purpose. He had taught the lessons that he needed to teach, and it was just his time to, go back, and be with God. And so I can take, that on with me for the rest of my life, knowing that it was the hand of God ultimately that pulled Judah back home.
Absolutely, absolutely. He is in control of everything. He is, and nothing catches God off guard or by surprise. He is in control. And so what advice do you give to people? There may be people listening saying, I know someone that has experienced this, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. What advice do you give to people who are around people that have experienced loss as to either what they shouldn't say, what they shouldn't do, or maybe a few things that you would recommend for them to do?
There's a lot because my wife and I actually talk about this quite a lot. Some comments and, some messages that we receive, and that's why, I kind of haven't read them all, because some people always know what to say, and so they just say anything. And I would just suggest to anyone that is trying to help someone out going through this, if you don't know what to say or don't know how to say it, sometimes it's just best not to say anything. Sometimes it's just best to be there and listen, not so much as to speak, because sometimes we can find ourselves trying to find words, trying to figure out what to say, and it's just meant for us not to say anything. And so I just really would suggest to those also to pray, pray and ask, God, what can you say to that person to be, to comfort them and to help them in that time? Because, again, if you've never been in that situation before March 3rd, I couldn't really help someone who's lost a child. But now that I've gone, it's a little easier to be able to help and give words and comfort people that have gone through this. But, again, if, you don't know what to say, sometimes it's just best not to say anything at all at that moment.
Good advice, good sound advice right there. So for Baby Judah, Baby Praise, is there a fund people could give to, or anything that you would say they could support in honor of him, or anything of that nature?
Well, I want to definitely thank two companies, McKinley as well as FedEx, who have definitely partnered with us and helped us tremendously since the passing of our son. FedEx is going to commemorate his life and legacy with a tree planting happening at our church really soon. We're just trying to get some legal things out of the way, so that everything, works perfectly. And McKinley took care of all of the funeral arrangements. And so I just definitely want to thank those two companies, and as well as my best friend, Dion Schaffner. He actually created a GoFundMe page when Judah first passed. The day he actually passed, he made the account for us, and we did raise over $4,000, which definitely helped us out. And so I would just say we don't really need anything as far as funds. But if you know anyone who's going through this, my life's mission is to be able to connect with those people as well as to connect them with the Compassionate Friends. We partner with them, and they're going to be having Judah in their commemorative book, which is going to be released on July 10th of this year in Dallas, Texas. So if you want to, you can support that organization because they're doing a really great job of connecting parents, grandparents, and people who have lost children together. And so that's where we are putting more of our efforts to, just helping the Compassionate Friends. And you can go to www.compassionatefriends.org for more information on that. But again, we are just literally living a life now to fulfill our purpose, and that is telling people about Judah, because literally he changed lives. He connected family members back together. Again, he brought people closer to God, and ultimately showed us how to live a life full of praise, where when we send praises up, God will always send blessings back down, and that's what he's done, since the passing of Judah. He's just sent so many blessings down to us that we can't complain, even when we do fall into our moments of depression and have our moments of grief and sorrow, still our hearts are blessed and there's joy because, again, there's no loss. We haven't lost Judah. Every day I walk through my home, I see Judah. I still him. It's present in everything that I do. And so there's no sadness about, that loss. It's just sometimes sadness in the process of grief, just dealing with that.
Absolutely, and we're human, and that is to be expected. So you and your wife take whatever time, whatever you need, and I just appreciate, DamarQio, that we were able to talk to you and just hear about baby Judah, baby Praise, and to hear about the legacy and what he did in his short time. So I just thank you for stopping by the show, and I appreciate you, and we'll keep you in our prayers, certainly, that you'll continue to have grace through all of this.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again for having me. And again, I thank you for reaching back out to us and having us on. Because, again, I do remember the last time I was on, and it was a blessed occasion. And you've always been there to support us. So I thank you for that so much.
Oh, it is my honor. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, listeners, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and we are going to be right back.
It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Charvette will be back after this.
Hello, we are 123jobzone.com, an online job search portal. We are user-friendly, and if you're searching for a job, with us, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, go to www.123jobzone.com and register as a job seeker. Step 2, once registered, upload your resumes. Step 3, get connected with employers looking for people like you who are ready and willing to work. Don't forget to follow 123 Job Zone on Twitter and Facebook to find out more about our upcoming job fairs. What are you waiting for? Stop by 123jobzone.com today. Good luck with your job search. Are you starting a new business, releasing a CD, writing a new book? Consider Mitchell Productions for your web design services. Visit www.mitchell-productions.com for portfolio samples, specials, and package prices. Remember, a website is not a luxury item. It's a necessity. Check out mitchell-productions.com or find them at facebook.com/Mitchell Productions.
IndustryBuzz with 3Zs.com. Join in today on the movement to bring integrity back to media. With one click of a button, you can disseminate your information right from Industry Buzz to all your favorite social sites like Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, and to your email contact. Maximize your vision today. Plus, get the latest news, entertainment, and media. Need fashion or makeup tips? Looking for a job? Connect with us today. Want to connect with other business visionaries? Connect with us today. This site is for everyone, from teens to music lovers, from businessmen and women, industry professionals and performers. summer. As a member of Industry Buzz with 3Z's, you'll gain help promoting your vision. Industry Buzz with 3Z's will expose, expand, and keep your fan base up to date with all your happenings. Members also receive free or discounted perks from various sponsored companies. So join the social network, expand, and stabilize your business. Connect with like-minded individuals. Need an artist to minister at your upcoming event? Look on Industry Buzz. Have a voice and submit your article to our e-magazine. Industry Buzz with 3Z's is the place to globalize your vision. Establish it today. Be heard. It's all on IndustryBuzzWith3Z's.com. She's here to motivate, excite, and influence you. She's Sharvette Mitchell. It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show with in-depth interviews from today's leading authors, gospel artists, stars that you want to know about. And now, Sharvette Mitchell.
All right, welcome back again to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Super excited for all those that tuned in today, listening in on the phone line, listening in by way of Twitter, if you listened in by way of Facebook, if you came in from Instagram, if you came in on my mobile app, certainly Sharvette.com or any of our broadcast stations. We appreciate you today. And again, it was an honor to chat with DamarQio K. Williams. And his lovely, honoring his lovely wife as well, Miss Williams, and Judah Andrew Williams, baby Judah, baby Praise. So I'm telling you, that's some strength there. That is grace, God's grace displayed to us right there, just to have the strength to talk about it. So, listen, want to let you know that if you've been following me on Facebook in particular, you've been seeing that I've been posting hashtag coaching with vet. Hashtag coaching with vet. I've been sharing some social media tips. I've been sharing some branding tips that will help brand you, in particular if you are promoting some type of product or service, some type of business, some type of organization, whether that is nonprofit or for-profit or ministry. I've been sharing some tips. So if you're on Facebook, if you're like, hey, I missed that, I didn't see that, all you have to do is put in hashtag coaching with vet, and that's VETTE. And it'll bring up all of the status updates that I have posted with that hashtag. But want to make you aware that you can get individual coaching with me if you want to jump over to Mitchell-Productions.com, Mitchell-Productions.com. There's a little button on the front page that says schedule a coaching session, and I can work with you individually on your social media branding. There's one little offer I have that says I just need help. I don't know if it's social media. I don't know if it's branding, radio interviewing. I don't know what it is. I just need help. There is a category for you to schedule a session with me for that. So that is on my site. You can do that, schedule that. Love to work with you. You know, doing internet radio, I've seen a lot, I have interacted with a lot, and I know what looks right. I know when people are doing things that are effective, and then I've seen the other side of it. Hosting a show since March 2008, nonstop, no extended breaks other than my yearly New Year's break of about 2 weeks, consistent show, over 280 shows, 2 to 3 interviews per show, and I definitely have what you need as far as tips and information around social media and branding, and I have seen those that do the social media well, it works for them. So it's an avenue that I recommend that you work. And it's one of those that's accessible for you. It is at your fingertips. So if you don't have budget to do TV commercials, and if you don't have budget to do, billboards, you can do social media. You can leverage social media. And so I can help you with that. So jump over to Mitchell-Productions.com if you have information certainly about that. And while you're over there, you'll see information about web design services as well. Now, I know you have a website. If you don't have a website, let's chat about that. Let's chat about that because that's the foundation of your marketing. That is the hub of your marketing and your communication plan for your product, for your business, for your service. That is the hub. Social media is the accent, and it draws the attention to you, but then you got to send people places. You got to send them somewhere where they can interact with you, find out more information, do business with you, and that's what your website does. So just a little shameless plug, and I don't know if I should consider it shameless or not. This is my show, right? So listen, today's been great. I thank you so much. Make sure if you're not on my email list, jump over to Charvette.com and you can join my email list. I send you one email once a week at 5 p.m. Eastern that lets you know, hey, a show is coming on in 60 minutes. So if you need that reminder and this is your first time listening, you can get that. Or if you are a person that listens to the show from your phone, you only listen from your phone, hey, you should just grab my free app on your app store, any of your app stores, Apple, BlackBerry, and also Android. Just look for Charvette, and it's a free download. All right, so that's going to be a wrap for today. Listen, I have a special segment this week. I'm honored to have Allison Lilly joining us on the show. Listen, Richmond's own. She has a long-awaited debut single we're going to be sharing with you on the release date later on this week, so you want to make sure you check back. You can check Charvette.com for information, but we're excited to feature Allison Lilly. I'm telling you, she can sing, and you're going to enjoy hearing about her music ministry and all that good stuff. And you're going to get to hear the actual single as well. So that's always good. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for checking us out.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you have been listening to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Connect with her at Charvette.com. And until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. The Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Signing off.